So classically, tech debt is defined as a shortcut taken by conscious choice with understanding that it will have to be paid back later. At Box, we define tech debt as any conscious or unconscious design choice invalidated by changes in scale or usage over time. So in practice, what does tech debt mean? It's the insidious potholes on your racetrack. It's the reaper for promises you may not have even realized you made. It's the thief in the night you don't see, stealing your focus, time, and deadlines. It builds up, and if ignored, it blows up. So where does tech debt come from? Bootstrapping a startup is a black magic of satisficing requirements. Shortcut substitute for sustainability like Thanksgiving dinner for Lunchables. You might be full, but you're certainly not satisfied. When you ignore tech debt, it starts to stink. Oh, that's the wrong slide. Oh well. So how come no one fixes tech debt? It's because it's complex, it's hard to understand, people don't know where to begin, and ultimately it's not shiny. So when you ignore tech debt, it starts to stink. It trips you up and it slows you down. Eventually it causes a crisis. Your eng team is crippled, your customers revolt, and at that point changing directions is hard. The shit hits the van. So how do you find the potholes? Critically, how do you find the potholes that matter now? One easy place to start is your site incident postmortems. Site incidents are tech debt collectors. Some quick categorical analysis can help expose your biggest pain points. So it's no secret that things aren't perfect, but the challenge is no one can agree what to do first. Your engineers have the right intention, but when everything is a priority 0, priority is useless and nothing gets worked on. So priority is inherently complex, is more complex than blockers, criticals, and majors. Each issue has its own subtleties. Repeatedly evaluating each time you stack rank your tech debt is redundant and time-consuming. There has to be a better way. We came up with priority. We needed a ranking that captured these subtle characteristics and a quantitative way to measure progress against tech debt work. We agreed that all tech debt was not created equal, so if it wasn't, then how are we going to figure out how they differed? We came up with probability and impact. We sliced, diced, and iced our tech debt. We discovered it differed in how likely it was to bite us and how bad the bite was going to be. We scaled each one of these from 1 through 5 and multiplied them together to get a ranking number, but still something was missing. Easiness. So more ways than one may be found to kill tech debt that won't drown. And each of these may be easier or harder than the first. We decided to prefer the easier solutions so we could get the most runway to focus on the next problem. So we were really excited about what we discovered, but we were only a few people. The PI ranking would be a major cultural shift, and we needed executive buy-in and well-defined organizational priorities. An SLA isn't an SLA if it falls in the forest and no one hears it. We had been collecting data for months on systemic causes behind our incidents. We identified the top defending areas that had been eating the majority of our remediation time, and we took it to the leadership and made a case for action, and we got buy-in. So what did we do next? To get to a sustainable place, we needed to drive down our tech debt to a reasonable place. We scored all of our tech debt linked to postmortems and set a PI threshold, that's PI, and committed to fixing everything above it. So we needed visibility and accountability. Leadership clearly defined org-wide deadlines and thematic priorities. We set up code to pull from Jira daily and pestered tech debt owners over email, CCing executive leadership. So time went by, and by the end of the month, we had actually met our commitment of tech debt tickets. We had started catching incidents before they happened. We had come together as an org with clear priorities and goals, and we felt really good about ourselves. We started living in slightly less fear. So what's the lesson learned from all of this? The lesson that I learned is that organizational change can happen. People want to do the right thing, but you need to make it possible, and you need to make it rewarding for them to do it, and embarrassing not to. Be honest about your broken windows and about the cost you're paying for them, today, tomorrow, and next month, because that cost changes over time. Find out how to measure the risk of each broken window. Broadcast that message and expect accountability for fixing those broken windows. Don't wait for your crisis to find you. Find it first. Find the potholes on your racetrack and prioritize them and start fixing them. Give your engineers an objective way to argue about fixing tech debt so they can do what they know is right. Finally, live the life of Pi. And that's it.